So, all right, let's get into the episode for today. Like everybody else, it's the new year, so we're all basically thinking the exact same thing. New year, new me. This is my year to do the thing. This is my year to conquer whatever it is that I want to conquer. And so in this episode, I want to talk about goal setting. I want to talk about how to set goals. What's the best way to set goals? What's the ways that you can take to be able to accomplish the things that you have for yourself, that you want to accomplish for yourselves this year? And so, as I'm not the smartest man to be alive, or neither do I know everything that everybody has ever done before, I just literally go around and I steal stuff that I've heard from other people, and I gather all of that stuff together and present to y'all to see, and hopefully that it will help you in whatever goals that you have for yourself, because I'm still learning. I'm not a know-it-all, even though sometimes I be doing I too know. That's a Nigerian thing. For all the people who are out there who don't know, I too know, ITK, is when you act like you know everything, even though you don't know. So even though I may be acting like that sometimes, I really don't know everything. I know a few things. I haven't lived that long. I've lived for 26 years, 2 decades, 2.5 decades plus one. So the things that I'm going to be saying here is things that I've heard from other people, things that I've read from books, things that I've done for myself that has helped me to accomplish some of the things that I've been able to accomplish in my life. But first of all, why do we even need to set goals? I think it's important that we even start from there, because a lot of times we don't see goals as an important thing, or even if we see it as an important thing, we may not know why we need to set them. And the simple answer for why we need to set goals is because a goal pushes us to step out of our limitations. A goal pushes us to get to a destination that we want to be, to get to somewhere that we want to be. It's an easy way to kind of hack your brain to be thinking about things and thinking about ways of how to accomplish things that you want for yourself. It's an easy way to put something in the back of your mind to elevate you, to push you to a new destination, to push you to where you need to be. That's literally the easy answer of why we set goals, because setting goals helps us. It pushes us further than we would be if we just said, I'm going to do this thing. But goals helps us to keep thinking about it, because then when you see a situation, you can twist it and turn it and make it work the way that you want it to work for yourself, and you can think through a situation a little bit differently. Every time you encounter something that's completely different, like you can be watching a sports game and then you're like, yo, they did that. How can I take that to make it work with this thing that I'm doing over here at work, which has nothing to do with sports, but because you have that goal, everything that you're thinking about is connected together, and so it forces you to get in line with it. So that's why we need to set goals. That's why goals setting is very important. And now I want to dispel this myth. One, New Year's resolutions, I don't really do it, because the problem with New Year's resolutions is because it makes a date change be the reason that we try to pursue something. Rather, it should just be like we're always setting goals. It shouldn't be just at the beginning of the year that we set our goals, but it should be throughout the year that we continually set our goals. We should be setting goals all the time as we're going through life. We should be setting new goals as we adjust, because life is very changeable. Life is very malleable. Things will happen, and so we need to adjust as things adjust themselves. We need to change things up as they change. And so you should always be setting goals. You should always be adjusting. You should always be changing as the situation changes for yourself. So, enough of me on my super hype motivational speaker TED Talk stage. Let's get into exactly how to set goals. Let's get into how to set goals, and then we'll go into goals that you should be setting for yourself. So, I don't know if most people have heard this acronym, but SMART goals, which basically all it stands for is specific, measurable, achievable, relatable, or relevant, relevant, and time-based. So this is a structured pattern of how you can set goals. You want it to be specific, you want to be able to measure that goal, you want it to be something that you can achieve, because sometimes we set goals that are like, come on, dog. And then we want it to be relevant to our main big vision for ourselves. It needs to be something that's core to us. And then we want it to also be time sensitive. So let's start with specific. So you want your goals to be specific to you. You want your goals to be specific to something that is about your life, about the way you like to do things, about the way that you're trying to go, about a destination that you want for yourself. And you have to ask yourself questions of, like, let's say, for example, your goal is, I want to be rich. That's like your goal. Your goal is, I just want to be rich. And then you got to start asking yourself, because that goal in and of itself is like, it's not very specific. I mean, are you rich if you have $10 more? Or are you rich if you have $20 more? Are you rich if you have $100 more in your pocket? Because technically you are rich. I mean, you are rich at that point, but what exactly specifically does that mean to you? You got to start breaking it down. I like a guy named Simon Sinek. I talk about him a lot on the podcast because he's one of my favorite speakers and one of my favorite writers. And one of the things he talks about is everything you do needs to start with the idea of why. And you have to ask yourself, like, why do I want this thing? Because the reason why you break it down into the segments of why is because when you start with your why, when you start with the point of understanding this is why I want, you're able to push through when mountains and brick walls start getting in your way. You're able to break through those barriers and you're able to force yourself to keep doing things because your goal is specific and you have a core purpose behind it. You have a core purpose behind it. So I'll give you an example. The goal of this podcast, of the YouTube, which by the way, if this is your first time listening to the podcast, thank you so much. Hit that subscribe button. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, share it with somebody that you know that you think might be helped with this topic. But anyway, the goal of this YouTube podcast, of this podcast, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, everything that I'm doing on here is simply for two reasons. One, I was listening to a radio show on NPR, and the radio show, they were talking about how we as a community are giving less and less and less. Like over time, we've been donating and giving money less and less and less. And then on the other side, it talked about why we were doing that is because a lot of people are in a lot of financial struggling situations. And so it's like anything else. Like when you're on an airplane, you can't, they always say, put your own mask on first before you try to put the mask on of anybody else. And so the entire goal of this podcast is simply, I want everybody to get to a point where they're able to be so comfortable in how much they have in their bank account or whatever, that they're able to give. Or the other part of that is simply to get people to start understanding that money should not be a limitation for you to be able to give. There are other ways that you're able to give. But one of the things that I'm going to be doing is literally focusing on personal finances. Like if I can get you to be comfortable enough with how much money you have in your pocket, or get you to start building wealth in various different ways, that then you're so comfortable you're able to give more money and give of yourself more because you're just good. Because no matter what people say, money matters at the end of the day. Money makes us either feel more comfortable or feel less comfortable. And if I can get you to believe in yourself enough that you can make more money and that you can always be building wealth, and so therefore you're able to give, and you don't see money as like, oh, if I don't have it and I give it away, I'm going to lose it. But rather you always have this abundance mindset of, I'm always going to figure out more ways to make money. You're always going to be willing to give that money away. That's the entire goal of this podcast. That's simply the entire goal. Now, a lot of people are going to look at that goal and be like, yo, that's so grand. That's so, it doesn't matter. Sometimes you need a grand, massive goal. You need a massive ideology. You need a massive plan to be able to push you further. You want your goals to be difficult. You want it to be something that seems inachievable. I mean, think about it this way. We put a man on the moon, and JFK said, we don't do these things because they are easy. We do them because they are hard. We do them because they are hard, because it pushes us further. It pushes us to try and find new ways to break through our limits. It pushes us to find new ways to step out of our comfort zone. It pushes us to find new ways to do things that we've always done before. And so setting difficult goals, setting grandiose, unbelievable goals. I mean, let's just look at Tesla, for example. The Tesla goal was simple. It's not even like hard. It's a simple goal. They wanted to make energy efficient electric vehicles. Not even that. It was just basically, we wanted to ensure that we're doing something for the environment to ensure that we don't kill ourselves. And so what did they do? They started off simply by making really expensive sports cars. They made electric vehicles cool. And then from there, they were able to make less expensive electric vehicles and less expensive electric vehicles. And they found new ways for battery storage and all these things, because the entire goal was to find a zero emission vehicle. It's a simple goal, but yet a grandiose goal. And I'm pretty sure if they had talked to anybody at that point in time, it would have been like, oh, your goal's stupid. Like, why? We got time. We can make other things. And so have a specific and a difficult goal. Have a specific and a difficult goal. However, that's not simple enough. Your goal needs to be measurable. This is where it's also good to set mini goals within your main goal. You need to set mini goals within your main goal. So you have the grandiose goal, like the main vision speaking goal of like, this is the thing that I want. This is what I want to accomplish. And then you have measurables within those goals. It's like, I want to be rich. Okay. It's like, okay, what is it going to take for you to be rich? And then the important thing is when you're doing the measurables, please do the measurables based on things that you yourself, like I have control over. For example, if I'm on YouTube, for example, I can't control the number of people that watch my videos. I can't control the number of people that like my videos. I cannot control the number of people that subscribe to my channel. I cannot control any of those factors. What I can control though is one, learning new ways to make videos, uploading consistently, making sure my videos are entertaining and fun for people to watch, making sure my videos are informative, making sure that when I'm posting, it's when people can actually watch those videos. Making sure that I'm learning about thumbnails, learning about how to make titles that people will actually want to watch, learning about the search algorithm. See, all of these things I can control. I cannot control if somebody then chooses to watch. I cannot control if somebody chooses to subscribe. That's out of my foray. However, if I control the things that I control and I measure like, oh, I'm uploading 3 times a week. I'm uploading consistently every single week. I haven't missed a date yet. I'm making videos that are entertaining to those who watch it. I'm sharing the content. I'm interacting with other people online. Those things I can control, but I can't control other people's stuff. So the measurable part should be something that you have control over, should be something that you can control and you have a say in, and you have some sort of ability to control the factor. Because a lot of times when we set measurable goals, it will be like, I want to make more money. The problem is, you want to make more money is cool. However, you can't control that. You can't control somebody buying your product. However, you can control the product that you're selling and how you sell that product and how you market that product and where you go to sell that product. Those things you can control. So make your goals measurable. Make them measurable. Make sure that you're keeping track of them. Because if we don't track these things, we lose sight of it. It's like somebody who says, I want to lose weight, but then they never actually step on the scale every single day so they can see. Like one of the things we talk about with personal finances, start off by just tracking your expenses. Because when we know how much we're spending money, it tends to trigger something in our minds. It tends to make us look like, whoa, that's not what I expected. And then we'll go to the next part of this. The A, make it an achievable goal. Remember what I said, you want the grandiose goal, but then you also want mini goals within that grandiose goal. The achievable part is it something that you can actually achieve? Is it something that is actually possible for you to do? It's like somebody once told me like, yo, I'm going to make $1 million next year. And I was like, okay, cool. How are you going to get there? And it was like, I don't know. Like, it's cool to have the goal of being $1 million, but then what are the things that you're going to do to get to that goal of $1 million? Are you going to invest? Are you going to build a business? Are you going to start real estate? Or what exactly is it that you're going to do to get to the point where you have $1 million? If you're going to lose weight, it's like, don't start with the idea of like, oh, I'm just going to stop eating food. I'm just going to stop eating all the foods that I like. You know what's going to usually happens? This is where people now go on diets because they're trying to find the shortcuts. Guess what happens? Shortcuts do not work. Diets do not work. What you need is a lifestyle change. And you know what a lifestyle change forces you to do? To take the long game. And so rather than being like, yo, I drink Coke, I'm just going to be drinking water all the time, wean yourself off of it. So for example, if you're drinking soda, go to lemonade. If you're drinking lemonade, go to sweet tea. If you're drinking sweet tea, then you go to unsweet tea. And you wean yourself off of it slowly. Like you start somewhere and then you get slowly into it. Then you start doing lemon water. Then you start doing fruit infused water. Like this is the way it's not going to be drastic changes. Usually when we go drastic, when we're swinging from one pendulum to the other, we just keep swinging. We never get stable to be able to continue stepping one step at a time, taking one foot in front of the other. So make sure your goals are achievable. And then 3, make sure your goals are relevant to that grandiose goal that you have, relevant to that massive vision that you have for yourself. If it doesn't correlate to your core values, if it doesn't match up to the vision that you have for your life, guess what happens? You will never achieve it because every time you're trying to do it, it's against who you are as a person. And so eternally, your mind can't accept it. And so it rejects it and never tries to find ways to do what it needs to do. Remember, one of the things I said was simply every time you have a massive goal, every time you have a goal, your mind tends to, it's a mind hack to be like everything you're doing, it's always correlated back to it. It's like every time I watch soccer and every time I watch sports, I'm always thinking, oh, yo, how can I take this sports thing and change it to be a financial thing? Because I really love finances and I really want to share personal finance in a relevant way to everybody. And so your brain is always going to take one thing, twist it to make it work with this, to make it vibe with what you're thinking about. However, if it's not something that you vibe to, if it's not something that is part of your core values, or even worse, is against your core values, you won't be able to do it. You won't be able to do it. You won't be able to take those steps that you need to take. So make sure it's relevant to you. And finally, T, time-based goals. You can't just set arbitrary goals. You can't just set loose goals. You can't just set goals of whatever. You can't. It has to have an endpoint. The reason why you want an endpoint for your goals is so that you can reflect and review. This is the reason why every year everybody takes the time to be like, oh, what do I want to do? Because the new year is what determines our review process. But that shouldn't be the case. It should be a review process every so often. Like if you have goals of like, yo, I want to be uploading this many videos every single week. Every week, you should have a review process. Did I accomplish these goals? What was the things that impeded me from accomplishing these goals? How can I adjust? How can I change my strategy? How can I ensure that next time I'm going to meet this goal and maybe even exceed it next time? Very important, man. It's very important that we put a deadline for ourselves. We put a deadline. It makes us and forces us to continually look back. One of the things that's important when it comes to personal finance is simply the idea of tracking your money. But then on the other side, when you create a budget, it's you review that budget every month. If you're like me, it's every month you're reviewing your budget. It's like, okay, how did I do last month? Did I make a mistake there? How do I adjust that mistake so that I don't do that again? You review it every so often. You review. You come up with new strategies. You come up with new ways of doing it. That's the way you accomplish your goals. These are the ways that you're going to be able to kill all the goals that you have for this year and accomplish the things that you want for yourself. This is how you accomplish your goals. You have to make it specific. You have to make it something that you can measure. Don't just let it be something ambiguous. Don't let it just sound like, oh, I want to lose weight. What does that look like? Is it how much weight do you want to lose? Or is it I want to lose body fat? Like set something specific, something measurable so that you can see and track as it's changing, because that will also motivate you to keep going. Is it achievable? You can't be like, I want to lose weight and you're starting at 400 pounds and you're like, this year I'm going to lose 200 pounds. Is it possible? Maybe, but not for everybody. Or on the other side, you can't be like, I have a business that makes $0 and I'm gonna make $1 million by the end of the year. Is it possible? Maybe, but unlikely for most of us. Make it something achievable, but also make it difficult. Do not just be like, oh, it needs to be achievable, so my goal for the day is I made my bed. Sometimes that's a good enough goal. Sometimes that's a good enough goal for some days. But that shouldn't be the only goals that you're setting, where it's things that you basically are easily able to accomplish. R, is it relevant to your core vision? Is it relevant to the thing that you want to accomplish on the larger scale? Is it relevant? Because if it's not, your body and your mind and your soul and your heart are going to reject it and not going to actively try to help you accomplish that goal. So, is it relevant? And finally, time-based. Make sure that there are deadlines that you are setting so that you take time to review, so that every so often you're sitting down in front of whatever computer or your phone or whatever, and you're taking time to review the process. Okay, I didn't accomplish this week. What happened? Why wasn't I able to accomplish it? What are ways that I can fix that? What are ways that I can adjust my strategy to ensure that I'm fixing that? And so I can meet my goals.